see something loading. Oh!
There we are. Hey.
Uh,
Do you see it?
oh, okay. There's about a 5-second delay, just letting you know.
Okay.
Because I'm seeing me in the past tense here. So I'm going to take off. I'm going to assume this is going to there. Um,
Okay.
on on Google Meet, I do not see you. I just see
Oh,
me.
yeah. No, I mean, hold on. Let me.
That's fine. I don't care.
Okay.
I can hear you fine. That's more important. And I
Okay.
can see you on Restream.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. Let's. I mean,
Just know there's a 5-second delay on Restream.
okay, because I shouldn't. It's not showing I have any dropped frames here, so I was just maybe it's a lag
Yeah.
between my internet and yours. But all right, give
Well,
me.
Google Meet, you're all black. I don't know
Okay.
why.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
I'm on a pop-up screen on the side. I'm like
Let me
woo
see
on the
if I
side.
can.
So in the corner on the side.
Oh,
There's okay. I see. I saw Humanity Media logo
okay.
for a second.
Yeah, it's not. Let me see if I can do my settings,
And I
video.
see your audio meter going off. So yeah. Hello everyone out there that's watching us on Restream. We're just setting up now. We're gonna get this hopefully we can do this going forward in the future.
Okay.
Have a little bit cleaner look for everyone out there.
Yeah.
Appreciate your patience. Got a great show lined up for you today.
Yeah. Okay, man. I'm gonna have to do the. Whoop. Hold on.
That's fine, man. I don't have to see you, man. I can see you on delay on Restream. That's cool.
Okay. All right. Cool. We'll just leave it like that. Hold on. Give me like 1 second. All right, or a minute. Hold on.
Yeah. Want to thank everybody so much for watching and listening. Got another big week lined up for us here, including I'll talk about what we're going to do with EA Play. We're going to be talking about, of course, Space Jam coming up, Black Widow, a lot of other great things that are out there. I know for this week on the Lakers Fast Break, I'm hopefully going to drop a couple shows with my latest mock draft that I posted. So hopefully I will go ahead and drop a couple shows there on that. I'm looking forward to it. And then also on Tuesday, we're going to drop the NBA Finals recap for Game 6. Will it close out? We're not sure, but we'll wait and see what happens there. And we'll go from there on that. But thank you so much for watching and listening here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. And looking for some great things. Marcus and I will be there on Friday. So looking forward to a great episode on Friday. But yes, as you can see, we got a brand new, well, almost brand new. We used it like once before, just trying to get all the kinks work out of it per se. But pop cosmos, culture cosmos. There's an error there. I'm going to have to tell Josh.
What's up?
Hey, oh, on the just to let you know, on the top of it, the border of the where it says Instagram, you've got too many Cosmos in there.
Oh no. Okay. We'll fix it.
Yes. Okay. If they go to Pop Cosmos, Culture Cosmos, I don't know where they're going. So I cannot guarantee it.
All right. I'll go in and fix that. That's my bad. My bad.
Typo? Oh, and I've never done a typo before. Yeah, right.
Everything
But
else is right though.
anybody who's following us on Instagram or wants to go ahead, it's Pop Culture Cosmos, and then you just put underscores on it. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. All right. Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, my friend.
Okay. Well, I am. Let me just make sure the doors are closed.
Gotta make sure the doors are closed. The dogs. Never know what's going on with the dogs. And then we'll get this thing started. All right. All right. So I got to go basically about 5 minutes in. I have to remind myself 5 minutes in ish, give or take. When I do this, because I'm going to give you guys a secret out there. I have to look whenever play this back. So when I could do the cuts, do the edits, things of that nature, I got to look at when actually I started the show instead of just our banter beforehand. So
We're working on some things, and
yes,
this is
yes,
kind of a trial right now to see what we need to
yes,
tweak.
yes,
Obviously, I need to fix the Instagram banner.
yes. But we're getting started just little by little. We're it's looking forward. It's going forward. So yes, yes.
All right, well, we're here and we're ready. Hopefully, this I guess there's a minor what would you call a lag for people watching.
Well, no, they don't know the lag.
Oh,
Only we
got it.
know about the lag.
Okay,
That's
so
right.
it's our little secret. All right.
It's our little secret. Yes, they don't know there are 5 seconds. It's like a multiverse of its own.
Yeah.
You know, there you go.
All
You're
right.
5 seconds in the past, everyone. So,
Yeah.
all right, all right. Let's go. 6 minutes in. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Yes, sir.
On this week's episode, Space Jam dunks on Black Widow at the box office. Are Legos a good value? And what's the future for Shark Week? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows, and if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, popculturecosmos.com, Humanicomedia, and so much more right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, including our awesome tabletop RPG games we have several times a week, and all the interviews and great things that we do at Pop Culture Cosmos, the Lakers Fast Break, Game Source, and so much more. It is greatly appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend. He's our own Joshy Josh of Pop Culture Cosmos. You gotta catch what he's doing today at the Super BS Gamescast, Topicocalypse, whenever they produce shows there, and also his awesome book, which you gotta get today at Barnes & Noble and Amazon, called Congratulations You Suck. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
What's up? Hey, I apologize if I keep looking up. I actually have the OBS stream on a TV above my head, so if you get a good glimpse of my neck throughout the show, it's because I'm looking up, trying to make sure everything looks good. On to Topicocalypse. So there's actually a new episode dropping this week. So the beginning of the end is beginning.
Ooh, I like it. I like it
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been, dude, and this is one of the reasons the show's ending, right? Because like it is, as we've learned over the years, it's so hard to, and it's no fault of like the people who are on the show, but it's just hard to organize people who have things going on. Like we've all got lives and kids and things like that, so it's just hard. And that's why the show's coming to an end. But it's also been the reason why it's taken so long to actually end the show.
Well, I'll tell you what, I will miss it. There were some great episodes, and they can always go back into the archives, and we'll make sure that there's ways that people can hear Topicocalypse. We may even go and revisit episodes of Topicocalypse if a possible Patreon future comes about. We'll kind of do remixes on that, remixes of the old Game Source podcast episodes, and so much more. We'll go ahead and do some of these things, plus a lot more with a possible Patreon program. If you're interested, we're going to think about doing some things for it, hopefully in the near future. So thinking about doing that for a long time now, something Josh originally suggested, and I was kind of like, we'll see. But you know what? We're thinking about doing it because we're trying to do what we can for you, the consumer out there, at Pop Culture Cosmos. But it is going to be a great episode we have for everyone out there today. Got a lot of things to talk about, including the backlash of Black Widow at the box office. Some real issues going on there, larger than just what kind of drop it had in the second week. So we'll talk about that coming up in the show. We will talk about and revisit Loki episode 6 and how that is going to determine the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We'll see if Josh liked it or didn't like it. I shared my thoughts on the Friday show with Marcus de la Garza, so you're going to hear Josh's thoughts on that. Well, basically the concept of it all coming up on the program as well. And we've got a ton of things to talk about, including the Steam Deck. We mentioned it, Marcus and I, about the value, some of the things that were going on, but I said I would save most of my comments on it for this show right here. So Josh and I are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about our hopes for EA Play Live coming up this week. We're going to talk about the future for Shark Week as it ends on the day that we record this. So we'll talk about Shark Week's future in a new streaming environment coming up later in the show. And we got another great letter from our good friend, Mr. Bill. He sent us a great letter in regards to Legos. He had a little issue about what we were talking about on a previous conversation on an episode a couple weeks ago, or as far as the values. So we're going to evaluate maybe and take a look again at our conversation on Legos and evaluate if Legos are a good value or not a good value for consumers as well. But first up, my friend, it is Space Jam. Space Jam. Yeah, Space Jam exceeded box office expectations, being the largest family-oriented movie opening at the box office in this pandemic, with a $31 million opening domestically. I heard in other areas of the world it's really done well as well. And it has actually surpassed Black Widow at the box office. Have you had a chance to check out yet, or have you heard anything about it from your end? Because I had a chance to watch it, and I'm going to share some thoughts here in a minute.
So yeah, I watched it. Unfortunately, I fell asleep twice. But I do have some thoughts. Do you want me to go ahead and spill them?
Yeah, absolutely, because I'll share mine afterwards, my friend.
Okay. So one, I think I like the family dynamic with LeBron James. I don't actually know if that's how their family dynamic is in real life, but I thought that his kids and his wife did a good job acting.
They're all actors, by the way.
Are they?
Yes. Sonequa Martin Green is the
star
of Star Trek's Discovery.
Wait. So is this not actually his family?
No.
What? Oh my goodness!
It's not his family.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay. All right. So that takes care of that. I did. As far as like LeBron's acting chops, like I didn't believe him as a dad. I didn't believe him like playing that part.
I will say that he did a sensational job in Trainwrecked. As far as Space Jam, like you said, it was far from believable, and I think that was one of the detriments of this movie. But in regards to the family dynamic you're talking about, yeah, I mean the kid who played LeBron's son in the film did a really good job. I like the kid a lot. Sonequa Martin Green just did basically nothing and got a huge paycheck, I'm sure, for just sitting there on the sidelines, which was a waste of her great talents because she is sensational in Star Trek Discovery. But I know you want to touch on this, and that is the evil AI known as Don Cheadle, who the recent Emmy nominee for 98 seconds of work on Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Which even he can't believe. And I will say he looked like he was having a blast in front of the green screen that whole time. But to me, the reason why this movie is even respectable is because of him and the great animation.
Yeah, so he was probably my favorite part about that movie. Like I don't know, he was so hateable, and like I think that they really succeeded in villainizing him. Like
yes.
He
was having a blast. You could tell.
Right. I mean, and when I say hateable, not him. He's not hateable as a human being, but I mean his character was so hateable.
Yeah.
That was some really, really good work on his part. And I know that this is like the bottom of the barrel for his like acting chops, but like it was good. It was good. I like that a lot.
It was so much more worthy of any praise than anything he did on Falcon and Winter Soldier, and even he recognizes that.
Yeah. And as far as everything else, like I have a lot of thoughts on like how they used everything they could, like they I
Well,
don't
let's
know.
talk about the animation first. The
Okay.
animation to me represents a new, I guess, threshold for animation.
Right.
Personally, for me, as far as the way they upgraded and they gave, like, they showed you the Looney Tunes characters in their old way that they were designed and drawn, and then they gave them an upgrade halfway through the film
Yeah.
that had them look very realistic. My daughter was freaked out with some of the. I was like, "Oh man, that looks freaky on some of it." But I'm just, to me, it just, they really, as you would say, the color palettes, whatnot. The animations really popped for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
and everything else going on with it was truly sensational in regards to the animation. And to me, Don Cheadle and the animation is the only, are the only reasons why this film is even, should even be given a passable grade by anyone.
Right. Can I just say there was, outside of Don Cheadle, that part with Michael Jordan was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the animation was really nice. It was very crisp, and I love how I enjoyed them going in and out of these different worlds and how you can kind of see the animation styles for different projects move in there. Like DC has a very distinctive tone, Looney Tunes has a very distinctive tone. It was I don't know, like it felt it was a nice it was a nice display of what Warner Brothers can do.
But I know a lot of the criticisms that are out there, and the fact that it's getting so roasted on Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes, is the fact that a lot of individuals, these critics, and yeah, I know you always rail against the critic culture that's out there, but you got to admit, at times this looked like a walking commercial for Warner Brothers
Okay,
with all their
so
properties.
that's what I was going to say. Like, it felt like they did everything they could to make this Looney Tunes movie not focused on the Looney Tunes. Like,
Yep.
you even go onto the place, when they're on the court and they have Game of Thrones characters. They have Pennywise in the background. Like, they have all their
Matrix,
the Matrix. They have all their like famous
Harry
properties.
Potter.
Yeah, in the background, and they're doing everything they can to make this Looney Tunes movie not focused on the Looney Tunes.
Don't forget we have the Matrix. Don't forget we have the
Yeah,
Harry Potter. Don't forget we have Game of Thrones. Don't forget
yeah,
we've got all this. They should have just put at the end of the movie, this was brought to you by HBO Max.
yeah. Well, and that's another thing too. Like, yeah, it felt like a film reel for both HBO Max and Warner Brothers, like as an entity. Like it didn't feel. It felt like a film reel with a narrative, and even saying it had a narrative felt very. I don't know. Feels like it might be off a little bit.
Yeah, to me, it was too much of that. And like you said, it did not focus on the Looney Tunes themselves. They were kind of put on the back burner, even though they were involved in the direct game,
Right.
which correlates so much to the movie 25 years prior.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed at all at the way that they just laid it out. And even Don Cheadle, with his best performance in this, could not still overcome this lazy plot
Yeah.
devices that they had in there. And again, some real things were wasted in this movie, and I was kind of disappointed. And at times, LeBron, he's trying hard with his acting chops, but when it came to like the intense moments of emotion between father and son,
Yeah.
you just don't feel it. You just don't feel it. He's much better when he's clowning, when he's doing some comedic things, and when he's going on and goofing off or stuff like that with the Looney Tunes. That was all right. That was passable. But to me, just when it tried to get into some deeper subjects or some touching emotional subjects, I just didn't think it really worked out at all.
No, no, and that that was, again, that's my big beef, is the fact that, like, regardless of what I think of LeBron as a human being, like he's not a very humble athlete, and like regardless of what I think of him, it just he I didn't believe his performance most of the time. You
I
know,
agree. I agree. I
like
mean, yeah.
I was gonna say, if that's his real family, then like he's pretty spot on. But then you said, you told me the truth, and
They're
now
not. Yeah.
now I'm like, that's why something felt off there.
Again, Sonequa Martin Green, she's just so sensational on Star
Yeah,
Trek Discovery, and yet she's just told to stand on the sidelines just smile at LeBron and just say a little something to LeBron and just hold a kid for an hour and a half. And that was to me so disappointing, a waste of her great talent. And just to see the way that they had so many missteps in the film. But if you really want to check out the animation, I mean, if you tune out the story, the plot line, things of that nature, and you just focus on the way the animation is, to me is something that it to me it's like a next level up type deal where okay, we had the stuff that was done by Pixar and how well it's done. We've had the stuff that's done by Sony into the Spider Verse and all the stuff that they did that earned
Yeah.
them acclaim. And to me, this just is like Warner Brothers coming onto the scene, their animation saying, "Hey, I know Warner Brothers animation hasn't been the cutting edge for decades, but you know what? We're here now, and we're going to go ahead and be here to stay in regards to our animation. We just went and did the next level up."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, yeah, it does feel more like a portfolio than anything else. And like I enjoy the DC, the animated DC stuff. I have enjoyed some of the new what'd you call it, the new Looney Tunes stuff. But this, like, I felt like there should have been like this movie had potential to be good. The last Space Jam movie with Jordan, like it packed an emotional punch, but this one not really.
No.
It kind of lost its focus. There's more of a property parade than anything else.
Yeah, and it's so much for LeBron in regards to that because it's in here and in Trainwreck, he plays LeBron James. So you figure, okay, no one knows LeBron James can play LeBron James better than LeBron James. And in Trainwreck, he was sensational, absolutely sensational in that movie. Had scene stealing one after another when he was in there. And then you get to this where he's supposed to be playing LeBron, but in Trainwreck, he didn't really have an emotional turn that he needed to make. And in this one, he needed to go ahead and do that and compel you to be, as a viewer, just really you're supposed to be entrenched and really inspired by him trying to fight for his son in this basketball game.
Yeah.
And you never are. You just never are.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And like it felt kind of gimmicky, the kid who creates video games, like this movie, it looked like they were trying to, like, parts of it were trying to mimic Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And like that was clear, that was like super clear from the start of the film. And yeah, I don't know, it just kind of like lost what made the first Space Jam feel very special to me.
I agree. I agree. But again, Don Cheadle and the animation style, if you want to give it a pass, and I'm going to say it's right there on the money, 5 out of 10 for me. And the only reason it gets that high is because of the animation style and Don Cheadle, and that's to me is I guess to me it's worth watching because I would be amazed again at the animation, but I would have to like tune out everything else, and that I think is the problem because it's for someone and this is supposed to be a family movie, maybe not meant for our demographic in regards to that. Obviously, it's meant for a younger demographic, but that's even hard because, like you said, they don't focus enough on the Looney Tunes to get them back. And if this is supposed to be a commercial for the Looney Tunes to come back into your lives on HBO Max and all that, I don't think this was the case either because they were not in the movie enough to be, at the forefront of what you want for the future for Looney Tunes.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, and they did their typical like hijinks they do in Looney Tunes, but they did not like really develop any characters. And not that you can develop much like Bugs Bunny in them, but it felt like none of the characters had any motivation for doing anything besides helping LeBron.
I'll tell you what, those are our thoughts on Space Jam: A New Legacy. Again, it did very well at the box office, the biggest and largest family movie opening of the pandemic at $31 million here domestically in the U.S., beating Black Widow. Share us your thoughts. Did you enjoy Space Jam: A New Legacy, which is out in the theaters and also on HBO Max? We'd love to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, speaking of Black Widow, which was beaten at the box office, it actually got beat because it had the worst Disney Marvel drop ever for an MCU film, and something like 80% in its second week, which still $20 million for this weekend estimated, but that's a huge drop. They
Yeah.
usually drop between 55 and 75% for most of these Marvel films, even when it was back before the pandemic. But this is the largest drop ever for a Disney MCU film. So I want to hear your thoughts on why that could be, because I know theater chain owners are up in arms in regards to this. They're blaming the Disney Plus and the fact that it was so successful on Disney Plus, earning $60 million on Disney Plus alone its first weekend. They're very upset at the fact that it's out there in piracy and been pirated like umpteen million times now. They're saying that takes out a huge chunk at the box office. I have a tendency to agree, but I really want to hear your thoughts on why Black Widow dropped so dramatically. Was it something even more than that?
No, I don't think so. Like I enjoyed it, and I keep telling people like I thought it was really good. It was probably, I
The general consensus is that it was okay.
yeah, it's like I got to the end of it and it was probably like one of the most entertaining Marvel films that I'd seen, outside of the big event films. If you take away the Avengers and just have like your regular single hero action film, like thought Black Widow stands pretty tall amongst the others. Yeah, I don't know. Like this is where the watch at home model kind of fails you a little bit, right? Because you have all these people who you can pay your $30 and say you have like 10 to 15 people in a living room watching this stuff. So I think that that's where the drop off is coming from. I don't think it has anything to do with like, well, maybe it has something to do with pirating, but like I don't understand how. Oh my gosh. Okay, I didn't think.
Don't talk about with Rob McCallum, because Rob is obviously as a creator, he sees the end of it in regards to some of his stuff. Nintendo Quest, he thinks he's been out quite a bit in regards to the piracy that's been done on that film.
So I mean, I've people have pirated my books too, and like yeah, it sucks, but like at the same time, it's you can't stop people from doing it, and they've tried. There's a lot of things, they've definitely tried to keep people from pirating things, but you just gotta kind of like rely on people. If the product is good, you just gotta hope that people will give money to it, and like with Black Widow, I didn't actually stop to think about the whole thing where like you have the ability to disable an HDCP link right on Disney Plus, and you can record things. Like I didn't think about that, so I don't know, because maybe it's pirating, maybe it's the the multiple people in a living room, but I'm tending to think that it's more people like having friends all come over to their house to watch something like this. Because if you were to, let me ask you this, if they were to release it only in theaters, do you think the money would be anywhere close to what it is now?
I think the money would have been more. I think it would have been something that were, because it was only released in theaters, I think that people are more willing to go to the theaters right now, although because of what's happened in the past week in regards to amped up efforts to try and be more
Yeah.
protective out there, because what's going on with the Delta variant. But I still think people were willing to go to the box office, especially that first weekend. I think it would have had I don't want to say a much larger opening, but I would think it would have been maybe 10, 20% more individuals out there going to the theater to check it out. And I think
Yeah.
this weekend you wouldn't have seen an 80% drop. You probably would have seen maybe like a usual standard 70% drop, 65% drop from it. I mean, because that's usually what we see from Marvel films in its second weekend is 65, 70%.
Right. I mean, because then this had, if I remember seeing the article correctly, had a pretty high opening weekend, right? It was like the fifth or
Yeah, it's the
sixth
highest of the
highest.
pandemic
Yeah, no, but I
in
mean,
the United
of
States.
all the Marvel films, didn't it have like the fifth or sixth highest release of all the film? I don't know. I was looking at an article
Are you
and
talking about money wise?
yeah, for opening weekend. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it depends on if you include the actual Disney Plus revenues, and you include the every outside the worldwide outside. That's about 215, $220 million in its first weekend combined. So
okay,
I mean that's right there for you. But it did not get $100 million in its
So,
first weekend
yeah.
by itself domestically,
Okay.
but it earned combined 215 to 220 million dollars when you consider all those other factors.
So I got yeah no I know that, and I got so here's the thing that was released by IGN. It shows Black Panther opened with a $202 million weekend, Captain Marvel $153 million, Spider-Man Homecoming 117, Iron Man 98, Doctor Strange 85, and then Black Widow had an $80 million $80,366 opening, like, and that's placed at number 6
And that's just for standalone films.
for opening weekend in the U.S.
Okay, because yeah, I mean, because Endgame blows everything away,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, of
same
course.
thing with the
Yeah,
Avengers,
these
and
are
yeah,
these
most
are these are all standalone films. These aren't
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah. If
ensemble
you throw in
movies.
the Avengers movies in it, then it falls further down the list. But yeah, I mean, it's still a great opening, and then obviously they were very happy by that. But yeah, if it had not been on Disney Plus, I think you would see, or you would have seen 10 to 20% more people going to the theaters.
Yeah,
I think in regards to that. But yeah, I think a lot of it does have to do with in regards to Disney Plus. The reason why a lot of theater owners out there are upset at the steep drop, and then also piracy, I think, may have something to do with it as well. We should not underestimate that. But yeah, definitely think that this will be a thing going forward, and I'm sure this has been a thing already with a lot of these day and date movies already, like Kong versus Godzilla, which we're seeing with In the Heights. That was, that even at the box office was doing terribly, but it did much better at HBO Max.
right.
And then what we're seeing going forward with Mortal Kombat or any of the movies that are coming, down the pike, they're going to be day and date. I think we're going to see, even if there's a great interest first week, I think we're going to see steep drops in that second and third weeks, simply because of the accessibility that people say, well, I didn't catch it that first week in the theaters, but you know what? I can just go ahead and turn on the TV, and there you go.
Yeah. Hey, hold on one second.
Looks like those dogs are happening again. Yes, right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But I do thank you for watching. Appreciate it so much. I just need to. So yeah. All right. Now we're all getting all messed up here on my time. So don't know exactly where it's at, but
Sorry,
again,
I got on my show notes. Put dog outside, so we'll have that taken care of next time.
no worries, no worries. And the streaming monitor went from 23, 24 minutes down to 6 minutes. So I don't know. I have no clue on time right now. So I think
We're
we
at
need about
30.
7 minutes.
We're at 33 minutes right now.
Yeah. So I think we need about 7 more minutes for this half hour. So be that as it may, we're going to go right here, right through it. And so basically, I'm just going to say right now, I think there's a lot of factors put in, but I think you will see more day and date films come up with these same type of problems in their second and third weeks. I think this is not going to be an aberration. I think this is going to aberration, whatever. This is not going to be something that's a single time only type deal. That I think you will see this continually going forward with these day and date movies. I think that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, yeah, and it's it's gonna be, yeah, and like I said, whether it's piracy or multiple people watching from a living room, like, I think that you're going to see a significant drop between opening weekend and what comes next, because there's not going to be as many people. The hype level is going to be hyped on the first day, and other than that, like, I think you're not going to see that slow trickle that you used to see.
What are your thoughts out there on why Black Widow had such a steep drop, 80% in its second week? Shares your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Even if you think it's the movie itself and you weren't really enjoying what you were seeing with Black Widow, shares your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the half hour break, I wanted to touch on something real quick. I know you didn't get a chance to see Loki as of yet, but I know you've already heard what's gone on in the Loki season ending episode and what's going on for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and how it's going to be portrayed out. We did get a surprise reveal of He Who Remains, which many are equating to Kang the Conqueror, although this wasn't Kang the Conqueror per se, but someone who will look exactly like Jonathan Majors did in this episode will be coming forth in the not too distant future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to play Kang the Conqueror at some point. In fact, I'm assuming it will either be in the multiverse. I know he's been confirmed for the next Ant-Man and the Wasp, so there will be a Jonathan Majors sighting, maybe as Kang, maybe as someone else, but there's going to be more than one Kang coming into the future for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they opened up a Pandora's box when Lady Loki killed He Who Remains, with a whole bunch of individuals coming after her and that sacred timeline. So I want to hear your thoughts. I mean, you've heard about it all over the internet. You've heard about it all now about the future of the MCU, and now it's pretty much out in the open that this is going to be the big thing going forward. There's no more Infinity Stones or Gauntlet that you have to worry about. It's all about the timelines, my friend, and the different multiverses that lie within.
Yeah, I had read that they had a meeting with Kevin Feige had a meeting with all the people involved in the MCU to talk about what the rules of the multiverse are. And it sounds like there's a lot of like cool things coming down the pipeline, but I also, I know Loki was renewed for a second season. My big fear here is, and I know we talked about this before, but like my big fear here is that we're going to be oversaturated with Marvel stuff. Like with the movies were nice because they came out every once in a while, but there's with multiple seasons of shows and more shows, and there's so many shows slated to come out over the next like year and a half. And like my fear here is that I'm not going to get a chance to watch a lot of them, and when the next movie comes out, I'm just going to be lost.
Well, the thing is, with the pandemic and the way things laid itself out, think of it like a traffic jam, which got all bunched up. And now it's just like, now that they're clearing whatever traffic jam that there was, they all want to come out like boom, 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 one after another, one after the other. And
Right.
with Disney Plus, I can understand what they're doing there because they need constant, fresh, new material and content in order to keep Disney Plus relevant. And the only things that are really keeping Disney Plus relevant and over 100 million viewers, 100 million subscribers, and all that is the fact that you have a Marvel show that gains these people's interest
Yeah.
and Star Wars that gains these people interest. Although the Bad Batch may or may not have done it for people, that remains to be seen. But everybody's touting the big numbers that The Mandalorian did, what these Marvel shows have did. So if that's only the real things that are going to keep people on Disney Plus, you got to keep feeding it to them, man. You got to keep feeding it to them.
Yeah, you do, but there should also be like I don't know, in the movies they're going to have to start doing like referencing the stuff in the shows. Because I guarantee you like I'm going to try to watch as much as I can, but I guarantee you that there's going to be people out there who maybe can't watch these shows. They don't have time. They can go to the movie theaters with their kids or whatever, on a weekend, but they don't have time to sit at home on a weeknight and watch some of these shows. So like I can't, I can't be the only person that like doesn't have time to watch a lot of TV these days. So, they're going to have to start referencing things because if they don't, it's just people are going to be lost.
Well, I think this What If series that's coming up in the middle of August, I think that's going to be the first I don't have to watch it from Marvel if I don't want to. I will watch it personally. I'm not super enthused by it because I'm not in love with the animation style, especially after watching Space Jam, which I thought was immensely better animation wise. But I will probably still watch it. In fact, I will watch it because I have to for this show so I can report on it. But
Right.
I'd say it's to people out there. To me, because it's going to deal with alternate realities, that is something that you really don't have to go out of your way to see. So there, I guess if anybody wants to go ahead and take a breather, I can't say I blame them. But when it gets back into She-Hulk, when it gets back into Hawkeye, when it gets back into all those other shows that are coming, Ms. Marvel and all the whole nine yards, when it comes into that, they're going to be must-see shows for a lot of people for a lot of reasons why, once again.
Yeah, yeah, and like right, and if you're like a fan of what's already been done, and they're talking about tying Defenders into these shows and introducing new characters that are eventually going to cross over into like the films, like the shows and the films are going to cross paths, and
Well, that's what I like about what they did in the season ending of Loki. It is that the fact they dropped that bombshell on you,
yeah,
and they now that's like an advertisement right there. Kevin Feige had said there are going to be reasons why you need to watch the TV shows, and that the TV shows are of great importance and are as important to the MCU as the films. And by dropping that bombshell that he did in episode 6 of Loki, I think that made the case that they are as important to watch. At least the ones that will tie in directly to the MCU.
yeah, exactly, and I just like I told you about my distaste for that closing credit scene in Black Widow where you have Julia Louis-Dreyfus there, and she's
Yeah,
trying to get her
I
like.
agree with you. In fact, I said this that it was empty. It was not empty, but it was about 50 people in the theater. But when she came on the screen, there was a very audible someone yelling out, "Oh God, it's her!" And
Yeah.
it just, I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus as an actress in regards to Veep and Seinfeld, but this is just not clicking for me, man.
I don't know. It's just the whole idea of them outside of her character, like the idea of them trying to like shoehorn you into what's coming out next. I don't know, man. Like I hope that I'm gonna try to watch as much as I can, but I don't want to get to a point where there's like 10 Marvel shows out at once, because like I said, I don't have time to watch all them as much as I'd like to.
I know, but obviously the idea now from watching Black Widow and that end credit scene is to get you to watch Hawkeye. So now you have a
Right.
reason to watch Hawkeye,
Yeah.
and we all know how dissed Hawkeye has been over the years. So
Yeah.
gotta watch for once now. You gotta have a reason to watch Hawkeye. So there you go.
Yeah. Hey, well, I mean, I already kind of planned on watching that because those them Charlie Cox rumors, man. Like Daredevil's supposed to be making an appearance in it, so
We'll see what
let's,
happens, my
let's
friend.
see what happens. Yeah.
But I was looking forward to it anyways because I'm a bigger fan of Hawkeye than most people on the Avengers.
Yeah.
As far as that's concerned. So I guess, like I said, it's just a point where the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been decided, or at least going forward on how big it's going to be. But the idea of you missing the TV shows and you still getting what's going on in the MCU, that went away with the last episode
Yeah.
of season 1 for Loki. What are your thoughts out there on Loki season 1 and the climactic episode and what happened in it with the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in great detail? Please share us your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. Well, coming up next on the back half of the show, we're going to be talking some Steam Deck, EA Play Live, what's the future for Shark Week, and we're going to play some more Legos. We're going to do all that on the back half of the show. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're back with the show. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's myself, Gerald Glassford, along with my good friend, Mr. Josh Peterson. Josh, I wanted to ask you this. You saw the bombshell that was dropped. It was plastered all over IGN and all those other great sites this past week, and that was the announcement of the Steam Deck, because you didn't know you needed it, but Valve says you need a Steam Deck. Basically, it's a handheld, one of 3 options, a handheld Steam player, which can go ahead and play the entire Steam library. It also has it's based off of a Linux operation OS, so you can go ahead and basically also download the Epic Store. They're talking about maybe a future with possibly even getting the Xbox Store in there, so you can play all your Xbox games. So it'll be the Xbox, portable Xbox in a way, maybe down the line. You can actually get rid of the Linux OS and you can put in Windows in there and make it a full-fledged PC. It docks. You can put a keyboard and mouse to it. You can go ahead and put a monitor up to it. The thing is, okay, it starts at, let me get $400 for a 64 gig. $530 will get you 256 gig of storage, and then $650 will get you 512 gigs of storage. The RAM is 16 gigs. I mean, It's not really that upgradable outside of the storage. You have to get another SD card, but man, this is going to make things different for a lot of people that really want to go ahead and have portable gaming on the go. And this could take a little bit of a chunk out of Nintendo's bite with the Switch.
Yeah, they keep saying so. Nintendo has said that they don't think they're competing with the Steam machine, but I think they are because both the Switch and the Steam Deck are they're indie machines. Nintendo has their big releases, but for the most part, like you go into the marketplace, it's just indies everywhere. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what Steam is good for. A lot of indies on there, though they do have some big titles. I think that this thing is awesome. I I am
And you're not a PC gamer. Let's
no,
get everybody out there.
I'm not a PC gamer, but I look at this and I'm like, well, I could become a PC gamer because it's I don't know, it seems pretty easy to use and it comes, you can switch the SD card if you want to. You can download different types of games. Like Steam has a lot of good stuff on there that like I has been inaccessible to me because I've had a Mac for so long. And with something like this, like I would play more indies if I could take them on the go like this. These little smaller games, if I could play them on the go, on vacation, or while I'm sitting in the car, I would spend more time playing them.
And they always do Steam sales.
You're right. And they always do Steam sales. So let me read you these figures right here. So this was about I want to say 3 hours into the queue opening up. These are the reservations for. So they Valve initiated this thing. They're regional pools. So
Now, you remember they announced this the same day that the OLED Switch, those pre-orders came live.
Yeah. So they had this set up, and this was basically these regional pools they built to try to keep scalpers out, which it didn't, and I'll get to that in a minute. But
Does it ever?
yeah, no. So 200, like I think this was like 2 hours in. They had a waiting line of 50,000 people in the U.S., 8.4 thousand people in Europe, and 7,000 people in uh, GB. I don't know where that
Great Britain?
Great Britain. That might be
Yeah,
it.
because they're huge PC gamers in Great Britain.
Yeah. So that I mean, and that's like that's what leads me to believe like this is a product people have been wanting for a long time, and like I don't Steam has said they're working on some AAA titles, but like this was a good announcement. This was something that like people wanted. It might not be the announcement of Half-Life 3, but
Yeah,
man,
or Left 4 Dead 3,
or Left 4 Dead 3 or Portal 3 or whatever, but like this got people
something 3.
stoked. Yeah. And as for the scalpers, you go on, I was looking on eBay. There's already someone selling a 512 gigabyte reservation for about $5,000.
Jeez Louise. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Crazy. But yeah, no, I think this is a really cool thing.
I mean, the fact it can be a working computer for you, although I'm not really sure that it's meant to be, but they said it does. They said you can go ahead. You can actually load up Windows on it. You could take out the Linux OS and you can actually load up with load up Windows on it. So you could do a lot of things with it. It's just going to be something that for gamers and primarily Steam gamers, because you can't really use it as a functional or dependent PC because a laptop is already set up to do a lot more.
Right. And I guess like speaking of laptops and computers, I guess the big question I have here is the chip shortage going to stall development of this? Like not development, but like the production lines for this.
Very good question. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe they would have held off their announcement if they weren't confident on that.
No, I know. I feel like they probably have a lot of units like either in production or already produced. But you look at like PlayStation and Switch and all that, like I also wonder, and we talked about this last week, like if the new Switch model was supposed to be something more powerful, but the chip shortage kind of ruined that for them. So I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns right now, and I think that Valve was trying real hard to probably get this out for the holidays, and it'll be interesting to see if they get caught, if the chip shortage is actually ending, or if they're going to get caught in the melee of it all.
Well, what will be really interesting is if they can find a through lane, and if they don't do it directly at Valve, somebody will do it. Somebody will hack into it, so that it will become a Xbox Game Pass player, and that you'll have all your Xbox games available to you that you can play. I think that if it's not done day one through Valve, they will find a way because Xbox is making its pitch for Xbox Games Pass to be on devices other than the Xbox Series X or S. That it just wants you to go ahead and get the subscriptions. That going forward, that's their mentality. They are more concerned with the subscriptions to Xbox Games Pass than they are you buying an Xbox Series S or X. So this would be a great way to go ahead and
Yeah.
advertise it that it plays on that player.
Yeah, and I know that in the past month, both Microsoft and GameStop have met with Valve over various things. So I don't know what they are, but I'm sure there's something in the works that's going
Oh, I'm
to.
sure they knew about this, and I'm sure that
Yeah.
they're already working on a go-between to that.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure.
And with PlayStation, talking about more games that they're going to migrate over to PC. This could be a great way to get a lot of the PlayStation hits as well.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people have been talking about PlayStation wanting to do a new handheld, and then I just I if that's the case, I don't see them competing now in the handheld market with this Steam machine going on.
I agree with you on that. I would think they would want to stay away after hearing this announcement. But the last thing I want to say, or the last thing I want to talk about, are again the specs of it. 64 gig is going to, as far as storage in the 400, 256 gigs for the $530 version, and $650 for the 512 gig version. That's a lot of money for not a lot of storage space. And some of these Steam games, they're like console games in that they take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
So to me, the price tag comes into play again. I mean, it's something that came into when the first console, the console generation that's now with the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. That what's the price tag going to be like? When we talk about the Switch and going to the OLED model, what's the price tag going to be like? It's now
Yeah.
$50 more expensive there. With anything concerning gaming, price is paramount because these gamers, for the most part, do not have unlimited budgets.
No, and that's where these
Yeah,
like secondary,
I mean, is this a good value? That's what I'm trying to say.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, I
because
mean,
these are the price of laptops.
yeah, and if you have one that has the higher gigabyte, the higher storage, I think it's a good price because you can turn any device into a console these days, and like this is something you can just plug into your TV, I'm sure, and just maybe plug another controller into it and use it as a like a Steam console instead of your
Well, it
computer or
has the
whatever.
capability to dock, and you can plug a monitor into it. And I think
Yeah.
you can get up to 720. I don't think you can get 1080 on it. I think it's 720. I was told to get a nice smooth running game.
Yeah, and I mean that should be good enough. I mean, I don't know. This machine seems very versatile, and maybe it's not. It does. It's no like four. It doesn't have 4K output for larger monitors, but it's still awesome. And I'm sure there's going to be a Steam Deck 2 further down the line.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we'll be interested to see what's going on. And it's so funny because so many people were talking about a Nintendo Switch Pro. Can't wait for it. Can't wait for it. Then we got I guess, disappointing from what I'm hearing from most people and myself, included in that disappointing announcement of the OLED Switch coming out that really nobody is really excited for.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, or just a week later, we get this announcement of the Steam Deck. I mean, that's got to be a big blow to Nintendo. That's something I want to close out with. Is this going to be affecting Nintendo's games?
So yes and no. I think it's going to affect the indie sales, but I don't think it's going to. I think people still buy Switches to play those Mario games, those Zelda games.
But you won't need to use it for the ports. You won't need to buy the ports on there that run at a lower speed, that run at a lower run at a lower frame rate, and run at a lower resolution, where you can do it on Steam Deck and it'll play and look much better
Right. So what I'm trying to
for
say,
cheaper.
or cheap, it's cheaper. Yeah. So if you're someone who has a Switch for the indie titles, then yeah, I mean, I think that crowd is going to drop off significantly. But I still think that more people buy the Switch still for those first party titles than anything else. As far as game sales itself goes on the Switch marketplace, yeah, I think it'll take a hit.
I
But
agree
I
with you on
don't.
that.
Yeah, but
I think
I
that
don't think it's going to affect people buying the actual console itself.
Well, we'll see what happens when Steam Deck debuts later this year during the holidays. I think it's targeting maybe December, no specific date as of yet, but people are thinking December. I think during the holiday season, maybe they can get out before Black Friday. Who knows? But the Steam Deck is coming out, and it's at three different price points. So you want to go ahead and check it out, see if which one is right for you. But if you are interested in Steam Deck, we'd love to hear your thoughts. If this is going to get you as a PC gamer, really excited for the future of Steam Deck, share us your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, as the unusual Las Vegas rain pours down here, which is something we don't rarely see pouring down here on the just to the left of me here, want to go ahead before we head on out, talk about a couple last subjects, if we can, my friend. One thing I wanted to go ahead and say before we go ahead into those last subjects is on future things, can we also just make sure that we get the, if you see on my screen, you see there's like a U right there
Yeah,
on the
that's
Google Meet.
I made a note of that here.
Okay.
I've got
All right.
my show notes here that I'm going to be fixing next time.
Okay, fair enough. He is the fixer indeed. And we're back to close out the show. This is Gerald Glassford, along with my good friend, Mr. Josh Peterson, right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to thank you so much for watching and listening. We are around the world on over 50 radio stations worldwide, and of course on every podcast outlet. If you have a friend that loves to know the latest and greatest going on in pop culture, please let us know or share the love of Pop Culture Cosmos out there to him. Tell them about the Pop Culture Cosmos. We would be truly indebted if you did. But before we head on out, my friend, a couple last things to talk about, and that is EA Play Live. That's going to be their, well, they basically did a no-show at E3. I mean, Battlefield was the only thing that they really showcased off at E3, and they're going to showcase more of it this week. They're going to showcase some of the other things that are going on with EA Play Live, and I'm sure we're going to get an update on the new FIFA on the way. We're going to hear more about Madden, which is coming out next month, which is usually the timeline for it in late August. And we're going to see some of that stuff right there. There's also rumors of a Dead Space revival, which was something we thought was long gone after they closed the studios. That could be possibly in the works. But Josh, some of the things that aren't going to be mentioned already are anything from BioWare in regards to Dragon Age or a new Mass Effect or any Star Wars games.
Yeah. So
how excited are you going to be for EA Play Live this week?
not too excited. I am. I guess like my hype level was a little bit higher once those rumors of the Dead Space, even just like a confirmation of the Dead Space existing would be cool. I know they were saying that that's not going to so much be a direct sequel as much as it'll be a reboot. But I would still love to see like a Dead Space Legendary Edition. When they have the 3 games on one pass coming out on a next gen console.
I would say that this would be a definite possibility, seeing the success of Mass Effect.
Yep, exactly. And I know with Star Wars, they had said I know I gotta go back and play that some more.
Precious. I was playing it last night. Yes,
it's
precious.
It's fun, man. I remember my downfalls on my first playthrough because as far as like order of operations, like what planets I went to first. I'm like, oh shoot, I should have done this first before I went there.
I'm just going to all the other non-essential planets and doing all the non-essential things before I get into like Novaria and have to do all these other things.
Well,
and they're going to come up to me and say, hey, you need to go ahead and do this. Oh, I already solved it. Oh, I already took care of that.
I love that. I love when games give you fetch quests and they're like, oh, hey, I already have this item in my satchel. Like, that's fun.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. You got any other challenges you want to throw at me?
Exactly.
But yeah, so I guess like I knew about I know they're saving. There's some kind of like Star Wars Disney conference coming up that there's D23 or something that they're saving.
Yeah.
The Star Wars announcements for. I don't know anything about the Mass Effect stuff. I'm sure we'll hear something sooner rather than later because
I would probably say it's not till next year.
Yeah, well, they had said there's going to be something like
Well, they got to talk about Dragon Age 4 first, because
Yeah.
Dragon Age
Well,
4 is closer to a reality.
yeah, so I from what I understand, we're supposed to get some kind of update from BioWare before Christmas, and I don't know like exactly what that means or when if that's true, but I am I guess pretty I'm excited to see what they're working on, but like I know that it's probably going to be years before we see any of that stuff. So I'm not really like too bummed out about them not being at the EA conference, but I just hope EA has something to show other than the sports games.
I hope so too. I mean, I understand it's such a vital part of what they do in regards to FIFA and Madden, and I've already told the story many times about how important FIFA is in regards to sales and what the burgeoning growth of was how fast it was growing even early on in like the mid 2000s. I remember when I was running the game store, and I've already told that story about how important FIFA was coming, and my bosses, my higher ups didn't understand why I was prioritizing that over Madden. I said, well, I got you 300 pre-orders of Madden, but I've also got hundreds of orders on FIFA, because that's the wave of the
Yeah.
future. I could see the clientele becoming more interested in FIFA, and now it's surpassed many times over what Madden does. So,
Yeah.
I mean, worldwide, it's such a hugely just vaunted franchise. And I don't know if you heard in the news about the cryptocurrency mining that was done somewhere in Eastern Europe in regards to I guess the authorities busted a cryptocurrency ring where they were mining. They had thousands of PS4s mining, basically mining a whole bunch of currency in FIFA so that they would sell off the currency on the black market.
That's funny.
So, and they showed these rows and rows and rows of PS4s. So, when you talk about the 100 million plus of PS4s that have been sold, you got to remember the ones that were used for illegal cryptocurrency mining. So,
It's funny when it comes to like mining stuff. Everyone always goes, "Oh, well, they'll never catch any illegal operations." But all you need to do is run like in what do you call it, like an infrared camera over certain places, and you see people mine the buildings where there's like crypto mining going on. It's like the whole thing's red. Like
yeah,
there's something going on in
they're
there that's
running
not
hot.
supposed to. Yeah.
Or there's an area where it's like ice cold because they're trying to keep it frozen.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I don't know if you read Asus released. Oh, I think it was Asus released a limited edition like Gundam graphics cards, the ones that are the 3060s, I think it is, and
Mm-hmm.
some crypto miners bought a majority of them, so the internet was all mad because these are like limited edition video cards and they were being used to mine cryptocurrency in Taiwan somewhere.
Well, there you go. There you go. But the new world we live in 2021. But yes, I mean, I'm expecting some things, but I'm not expecting a whole lot from the EA Play Days coming up. But I'm going to go ahead and check it out. And yes, we will report on it at the back end on Friday's show, the PC Multiverse, myself and Marcus de la Garza. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to a lot of things that Marcus is going to be talking about on that show as well. But before we head on out, my friend, two last things. The Shark Week is going to end tonight as we're recording this on Discovery, but the future for Shark Week with the Discovery channel and that they're doing, obviously online, and all the great Discovery streaming network that they started back in January, and the fact that they now combine or are possibly on the way to combining with HBO Max because of that merger. It's still pending, but that merger, if it goes through, is going to combine a lot of these resources together. So Shark Week in the future, let's say next year, the year after that, could look quite a bit different than just being on Discovery Channel, just for a week. It could be something that they use throughout the entire streaming chain as well.
Yeah, I'm curious like what the Trade Commission has to say about these like network acquisitions because I was thinking about that. Like I've been watching Discovery Plus too. I love the stuff with like Josh Gates and like being able to watch people like build log cabins and things like that. So I dig a majority of those shows, and thinking that all this stuff could be combined with like HBO Max. Like I'm curious, one, how would that work, and two, what would the price point look like on something like that? Because HBO Max, you're getting premium content, right? Like I think that's like $12 to $15 a month, and
Yeah.
you're paying $7 a month for Discovery Plus. So what is the price tag on something like that going to look like? And as far
Could you?
as
Yeah.
oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
but as far as your like Shark Week question goes, I want to see Shark Week stay with Discovery, but I would love to see them incorporate more diverse diversity in the people, the shows that they have, right? Like as far as like hosts from different shows all across the networks go. Like have people from these house building shows, have people from like maybe people from whatever HBO original series is trending at the moment. Like that would be really cool to see more. Like I loved how they had like William Shatner and Brad Paisley and the guys from Jackass, but like it
And Tiffany Haddish.
and Tiffany,
Yeah, there
yeah.
were.
But there's a lot more at their disposal that they're not using, and it would just be cool to see them like use some of that talent.
Well, that's what you're going to probably see in coming years is all the stuff that's going on in regards to Discovery Plus and whatever related shows, and also HBO Max. Because if that merger does go through, you could see Shark Week not only on Discovery, not only on Discovery Plus, but HBO Max migrating over all three of those network outlets
Right.
and just creating a larger audience and getting people's interest even more. Because Shark Week undoubtedly is the biggest week for Discovery, at
Yeah.
least on the cable part of it. So
Yeah.
you could be seeing a whole thing transition into hours and hours more devoted for that entire week on both Discovery, Discovery Plus, and like I said, if possible, HBO Max.
Right. Right. And yeah, and I mean there's so much content there to work with. It would be cool to see. I don't know, and like even just have the cuz you go into Discovery Plus like there's no like Shark Week is all over the place, right? Like there's no like, hey, these are the shows that were on tonight. Like it'd be cool if you logged on to HBO Max and say, hey, these are the shows from Shark Week last night. You can kind of sit there and watch all them like a playlist. That would be
Yeah.
something that I could get behind.
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see the future of Shark Week because it's going to ultimately change and be something entirely different going forward. Of course, it'll still be on Discovery, the cable channel, because that's its bread and butter. But as Discovery Plus grows, as the possibility of the merger going through and HBO Max becoming a part of that Discovery Plus network, that possibility that's out there, we could be seeing more Shark Week on HBO Max. I'll tell you what, my friend, it's just the possibilities for all this stuff for Discovery Plus, HBO Max, they could be endless in regards to that. I think a lot of the executives that are there are just salivating at the possibilities. But Shark Week, which is the biggest week for Discovery, could become a lot bigger going forward.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe they'll expand it for 2 weeks. Shark Weeks or Shark Month, maybe. Who knows what's going on with
Ooh.
this?
Oh my gosh, a predator. All right, there you go,
Yeah.
lurking in the water indeed. What are your thoughts out there on Shark Week's future? Are you still excited to catch Shark Week on Discovery? And would you be excited about the possibility of it expanding to Discovery Plus, which is already there already? You can see a lot of the footage from this past week. But more new content for Discovery Plus going forward, and even it migrating to HBO Max if that merger goes through. Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, it's been a great episode. I cannot thank you enough, as always, for being part of it. But our good friend Bill, who sends us emails all the time at popculturecosmos at yahoo.com, and we are greatly indebted to him for doing so, sent us a new one. But instead of always giving us praise like he does, and he does says, just you've seen the letters, he's always doing a great job and love his comments. He actually sent one saying a little bit differently in regards to something that we brought up in regards to Legos and the cost of Legos. I mean, there is a sticker shock for someone out there who didn't buy Legos for a long time and they're going out to whatever department store and they're going to buy it or they're heading to Amazon. They're like, wow, this is how much they cost now. That's going to be for whoever's out there in regards to that if they haven't been up on Legos. But to me, there's like a different segment, my friend, and just hear me out on this. I think there's one segment of Legos that's generic Legos that's meant for kids that's at a decent value, under $50, that you can still get a decent allotment of sets that are of value for consumers. And then there's the other set, which are for collectors, which will cover certain IPs, whether it's Transformers, Star Wars, Marvel, what have you, that are huge sets, thousands of pieces, valued at over $1 a piece, which sometimes run into the hundreds and hundreds of dollars. In fact, I was quoting Bill back that the Millennium Falcon, they have a regular edition right around $150 for I think 1,500 pieces, and then they have a really detailed collector's edition one at $750. And this is not unusual in regards to their collector sets or their pop culture sets or whatever that they think is
Yeah.
valuable to the adult consumers. So I want to hear your thoughts. Is Lego still a value? Because it is to me and it isn't to me.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, I guess it depends on the IP because they do. I did a little research, after we got, after talking to you about this, and I guess there has been a rise in the. I guess they operate their prices are based on like a number of pieces to cost ratio, and like I guess that cost has gone up just a little bit, though not a lot. But what's happening is a lot of these newer sets, like these big collector sets like the Hogwarts Castle or the Death Star or whatever it might be, they just have so many more pieces compared to what was available like back when I was a kid, back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the rise in prices come in, has been over the fact that like these do have a significant amount of pieces. We're looking at, what was that we were talking about last week? I said there's a Death Star that's like currently selling for like $3,000 or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we're taking into account the increase in pieces being made for these sets, and also the collectability of them right now, because they have like some of the Mandalorian sets have had limited run. So like I had a buddy who collects the Mandalorian sets, and like he happened to get a couple of the ones that are no longer in print. So boom, the price goes up. Like they're doing the same thing Nintendo does, and they're creating demand by having limited run sets. Granted, you can still get a lot of this stuff pretty easily, but this is, I think, cost is driven. These are the factors that are driving the cost up.
Well, Lego is very smart though in the way that it goes about these things. Yes, it throws out collector's edition sets or limited edition sets or IPs that are really vaunted by the consumer, and they throw out the high price on them
Yeah.
because they make sure they're large enough sets, but they also make sure they're at a large enough price. But they're very smart in the way that they go and get consumers tucked into or stuck, they really are smart about how they go ahead and get consumers involved in the first place,
Yeah.
and get the youngsters involved, like you and I when we were young and we were playing the Legos, is
Mhm.
because they do have many sets available at a, I want to say, I'll say it, a value of under $50. You can still get many sets are out there, like with a firehouse or doing like a house in a car, or
Yeah.
maybe some certain characters, or maybe like a little airport or something. You can still get something you can be very creative on for under $50. And that's by design with Legos, because they want to get you hooked in as a youngster, as someone that's very young, and then go ahead and later on, oh, you want to go ahead and get that Superman Lego? Here you go.
Yeah.
But you have to pay a steep price.
Exactly. Yeah. And that there's nothing wrong with that, because there is definitely
Nothing.
yeah,
Absolutely nothing.
there's definitely a collector's market for Legos, and I don't think Legos are going away anytime soon. I think that as they dive into more pop culture properties, that we're going to see this increase. Legos. I wouldn't be surprised if Lego was even working on an NFT of some type. Like this is the way. I was talking to my mom about this the other day, because she got me a red Power Ranger flip head for my birthday, and thought that was pretty cool. But like, the cost of toys has gone up, because these toys now, it doesn't matter what it is, it eventually becomes a collector's item, because now people are seeing that like, oh hey, I should have held on to this video game, or oh hey, I should have held on to this toy because it's going to be worth something. And that
Yeah.
thinking alone has driven the cost up significantly of a lot of this stuff. You go to Target, and you can get certain toys for $10 or under, but if like you want a really nice action figure, you're looking at paying anywhere from $18 to $25 for that.
Well, again, it's something that they have done by design, but I don't blame anybody that's going out there to a local department store that hasn't touched or even thought about Legos for 20, 30 years. And they step into a store and they
And
see
they're
the prices and it's kind of a
shocked.
sticker shock for
Mm-hmm.
them. Yeah. But for someone, who sees this come across the plate, I also have to remember that they have a lot of sets that are intended for younger audiences to get you hooked in that are of great value. So if
Yeah.
you've got a youngster in your life, I do recommend it still as a great value. It's just that when it becomes a collector's hobby, understand it's going to be like everything else. You're going to pay for it, and you're
Yep.
going to pay a lot.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts out there on Legos? Is it a value or is it not a value? I think it's both, and I think Josh thinks the same as well. Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, thank you so much, as always, for being a part of it. Everybody out there that's watching, in the thunder and the lightning that's right outside my door, right there for you. Just great here in Las Vegas that we're finally getting some rain. But any last thoughts on the way out?
I watched Wrath of Man earlier this week,
I heard that. You told me.
and it was an okay movie. It wasn't great, but for something that had been made during pandemic days, it wasn't bad. Like the critics all have kind of like the critics hate Guy Ritchie. And we've talked about this a lot. Like is that thunder?
That is thunder, yes.
Nice. But anyways, I'm gonna go into more detail about this on the next show. But it's a pretty good flick. Don't go into it expecting it to have like depth or a diverse cast or really anything that makes it stand outside the realm of Fast and the Furious. But if you want a good popcorn flick, check it out.
Wrath of Man, indeed. So for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. This is another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great